Pleased to say the Education Secretary Gillian Keegan with us this morning, here to talk about special needs places in schools. Tell me more.
Well, what we've been trying to do is, any of your viewers will know that if they have a kid with special educational needs, they find it very difficult sometimes to get access to the support they need, to get access to the right school places. So we've had a massive increase in special educational needs, which is why we've got this improvement strategy. But what we're doing today is we're announcing the last of our £2.6 billion investment in building more special educational needs school places. So 60,000 more places since 2010, so that we can meet the demand that's obviously grown. And it's really important because it's a real part of our provision to make sure that we have the right kind of support for children with autism or other special educational needs.
Secretary of State, talk to me about what's going on with China. Claims you're failing to properly sanction China. A targeted MP says the government's turned up to a gunfight with a wooden spoon. Why is he wrong?
Well, I mean, obviously it's a complex issue, but we work with our national security partners, so Five Eyes, and with our national security services. And we'll always do whatever we need to do to protect national security. And obviously this has been quite a long, complex investigation. We have sanctioned two particular individuals and put some travel bans in place. Obviously we've taken, sort of actions in the past to take Chinese state-owned companies out of our national infrastructure. But, as the Deputy Prime Minister said, this is the first step. We're working with our allies as well, our Five Eyes allies, and we just make sure that we, can take this. I think the ambassador's also been called in.
Many MPs have said sanctioning two people and one company is a very weak response to the Chinese cyber attacks. Why did the government decide not to go any further than that?
Well, I guess they're looking at, what actually happened in that case and what sort of evidence they've got. And I haven't looked at the details of it, but they've obviously found these two particular state-affiliated actors who were involved in this cyber attack, which wasn't successful. But, of course, we take national security very, very importantly. And our electoral system is absolutely key. So we need to make sure that we take the relevant actions. But we'll always take what action is required. This is the first step, as my colleague, the Deputy Prime Minister, said. But we'll always take what action is required.
Hacking of the Electoral Commission happened in 2021. Why is it taking it so long to bring it to the House?
Well, I would imagine it's part of this investigation, the National Cyber Security teams they've been doing their investigation into this. So, I haven't got all the details of that, but of course they have been handling the investigation, and they're the people who are advising really the government. So, obviously we have to take their inputs as well.
It's taken a long time to get this far. How will the government make sure it doesn't happen again?
Well, I think the good news is they've actually found the perpetrators. I mean, I've worked in tech quite a lot, and cyber security is a huge concern, and it gets an increasing concern as we get more and more online, more and more digital.
So how to make sure that it doesn't happen again?
Well, first of all, we all have to do everything we can to make sure that we use all what we know is the sort of the best practice, which most of us don't do. So I think that's an important thing, and that includes parliamentarians as well. So every single one of us has got access to this service where we can get reviewed what we do, and by and large they'll tell us that we need to do more. So I think that's from our viewpoint. But I mean, it's really about being vigilant. We have some of the best intelligence services in the world working with the other top intelligence services in the world through the Five Eyes partnerships. That is the best way to secure our national security. You can't work with a better team, really.
The Times this morning is saying that 20,000 Brits have been approached by Chinese spies on LinkedIn. So the threat obviously continuing. What's the government's advice? How do you deal with that?
I think you always have to be very vigilant. I mean, we've had sort of incidents of, Chinese people infiltrating in Parliament, working in offices, giving funding to some MPs. So you've just always got to be vigilant. Why is it they want to talk to me? What is it they're looking for from me? I mean, there is a lot of, a lot of awareness now that, there is some threats in terms of national security from Chinese state-affiliated companies, and we need to take those seriously, all of us. So we need to be aware and keep vigilant, and of course follow the advice of the National Cyber Security Centre and our intelligence services.
Yeah, I'm sure you also read in this morning's newspapers that Hong Kong Watch submitted a dossier last year to the Foreign Office citing the chief exec, John Lee, for his so-called human rights violations, and as a result, he should be sanctioned. the US have sanctioned him. What's the UK going to do about it?
Well, all of those decisions are constantly kept under review, and the Foreign Office make those decisions.
Should he be sanctioned?
Well, the Foreign Office make those decisions, and we never comment on those decisions.
Wrote to the Foreign Office last year. Nothing's happened.
Yeah, so, I mean, these things are complex, right? They're not easy things to do. They're not just, yes, no, yes, no. So they will be looking at it. I, briefly worked in the Foreign Office. You never comment on sanctions of the future. You always, announce things when you want to announce things.
One wonders why it's taking so long, given the human rights violations that are ongoing in Hong Kong. You say that you used to work in the Foreign Office.
Yes, I did for 7 weeks. Yeah, I mean, these things do take time. They look at a complex picture. So, and I'm sure the Foreign Office looks very carefully at this.
Baroness Selena Kennedy, Sir Geoffrey Rice both wrote to the then Foreign Secretary James Cleverly. This was a year ago, saying that this man needed to be sanctioned for his ongoing human rights. Should we at least be taking some action by now, freezing his assets, preventing him from travelling to the UK? The US have said, you're not coming here, mate.
Well, that's what the Foreign Office will be looking at, and that is their role to do that. And they will announce it when they've got something to say.
More than a year.
Yeah. But, I mean, these are complex challenges, and they will look at it. But they, I can't comment on what the Foreign Office
But the spotlight's been on China, not least because the Deputy Prime Minister had to make his statement yesterday. Surely all of this should have been considered at the same time.
They will be considering constantly all of the threats from everywhere around the world. That's why, as I said, we have we have the best intelligence services in the world. We have the best National Cyber Security Centre working with the best allies. So this will always be, these things will be constantly being considered. I know the Chinese ambassador has been called into the Foreign Office as well. So there is always action, always activity. We never comment or speculate on it, but the Foreign Office, will update these things in due course, which is what they did yesterday, of course.
Yeah, they did, sort of, kind of. Lots of your colleagues thought that it hadn't gone far enough and you're tiptoeing through the raindrops because of Chinese investment in our technology.
Well, I mean, actually, we did make a difficult decision to remove a Chinese state-sponsored company from our national infrastructure.
Small company in Wuhan.
No, when we removed Huawei from our national infrastructure.
Sorry, I thought you meant one yesterday.
That was a massive decision, and we made that decision because we thought it was in the national interest.
But as a direct result of this infiltration of the Electoral Commission, one small company in Wuhan and 2 individuals have been sanctioned.
Yes, I haven't looked at the details of that investigation, and we probably won't get all the details of that investigation, but I'm sure that advice has come as a result of the details of that investigation. But it's acting with our partners as well. So this is not just us on our own. We also work with our partners always to make sure that we take coordinated action. So that is what they will have decided. But, don't think that we, can't take big decisions. Taking Huawei out of our national infrastructure was a massive decision. It was a difficult decision. It was a costly decision. But we made it because nothing is more important than national security.
Yeah, what about the situation in Hong Kong? We handed back Hong Kong in 1997, ongoing human rights violations. We could do something about it. We have chosen not to, despite the Foreign Secretary being alerted to the challenges of the many people.
I would not say that that's the best way to know how to categorise what we've done with Hong Kong. Obviously, that is another difficult situation, but it is something that the Foreign Office will be working on. Sometimes that's done through diplomatic channels, sometimes that's done through sanctions, sometimes that's done through other methods. They have a whole host of tools available to them. You and I sat here right now don't know the details of all of those activities.
That's what I'm asking you.
Yes, and the Foreign Office never comment up front on who may be sanctioned.
They could tell us if sanctions were being taken.
The
United States last November said, no, we're not allowing him in this country anymore.
Yeah, so I'm sure they have this and other things under consideration. And, when they make a decision, they do update us, but they'll never comment in advance because that doesn't make any sense, really.
So it doesn't look as though it's happening anytime soon, then?
Well, I don't know, because I'm not obviously in the Foreign Office and I'm not looking at those details. When I was in the Foreign Office, obviously you spend a lot of time talking to our security services and our intelligence services on a daily basis. You're getting updates from things that are happening, which, all the time they are working super hard to keep us safe. And that is happening on a daily basis. I know that from my own experience.
OK. It's good to see you.
Thank you
very much indeed for answering all of our questions, as usual. Much appreciated. We don't always get that from a minister, so I very much appreciate it. Thanks very much indeed. Thank you.